Hi Stampers, this is Kathy Winter from Ladies Stamp A Lot. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Chesapeake, Virginia. And today I'm going to show you how I made this cute Halloween card using the Frightfully Cute stamp set and the Frightful Tags dies. These are items that are currently in the July to December 2021 mini catalog from Stampin' Up! And when you bundle them together, you can save 10%. So if you're interested in these, be sure to check them out on my online store. And I'm also going to be using the new blending brushes from Stampin' Up! And that's what I used to get this really pretty background on this card. Now this card is basically a half a sheet of cardstock folded in half like a regular card and then just folded back on itself. So it's not at all difficult to do. If you want scoring, that's 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. But let me show you how to do this background technique, and then I'll explain a little bit more of the details of this card. I have 10 other cards that I made with this stamp set and a few Christmas cards that I made using the blending brushes. So if you're interested in all that, stay tuned or fast forward, whatever suits you. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some scrap paper, and I'm going to start again with a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Whisper White or basic white cardstock. This is just a half a sheet of our cardstock. I think this would also look really pretty on shimmer cardstock, but this is just regular basic. And I'm going to start with pumpkin pie ink. Now the brushes, you get 3 in a pack, and I'm going to use 1 for each color. But when I'm done, I'm going to rinse them out over at the sink, and they will pretty much come clean, and then I can use them again. And I kind of like to leave 1 for a dark, or 1 for a light, 1 for the dark blues, and 1 for the purples. And you're fine with just rinsing them out and reusing them. Okay, so I'm over here just stamping into the ink pad lightly. If you want to hold back on the end a little bit, you'll be sure to do it with a light touch instead of a heavy touch. I just feel more comfortable grabbing it up here at the head and keeping the arm in the palm of my hand. But you don't want to get too much color on here. That you can always add, you just can't take color off. So when you start laying down color, you sometimes get a really big burst of the color, which you don't want. You want a lighter, more even kind of color tone. So I'm going to start over here to get rid of some of it, and then I'm going to just go down the edge. This is going to be the bottom of my paper, but I find it's easier to hold it this way to do the color technique. So you want to just start with a light touch. You can always add more, can't take it away. Depending on how much ink is in your ink pad, you're going to get a darker, see there, you can see I have like a little darker blob. So you just have to be really careful and know your ink pads and how much ink you have on them and how inky they are, so you don't get too much. Now, of course, if I want a lot, then that's great. So there's the orange, which is going to be across the bottom of my card. And I would say that's about 2 inches, maybe a little less. But I'm going to come in here with my little fence. And I just wanted to make sure that my fence would be, it's taller than my fence. So that's going to be good for the pumpkin pie. Now the next color I'm going to use is Night of Navy. And this one is kind of inky. So I'm going to come over here, and you can see how that's really dark there, which I really don't want it. So I'm going to come over here and do the navy right next to the pumpkin. And I'm just doing it again in a circular motion. I don't want a lot of streaks. When I re-ink it, going to come off of here and get that worst of it and then roll it onto the paper and spread it out. So yeah, this is just a really fun technique. You could use sponge or regular daubers, but these blending brushes let you cover a large area in a pretty short amount of time. So there's going to be my Night of Navy area, just so you can get an idea of what I did. I'm kind of leaving that light there to make a highlight of the sky. Now at the top of the card, just flipping it to make it a little bit easy, I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape. So I am changing. You could easily use one sponge and then just wipe it on the paper until it doesn't have any color coming out of it, and then just switch it and use one to do all these colors. Going from light to dark, I would suggest. But since you get 3 in a pack, I decided to go ahead and use all 3 because I'm making multiple cards. Once you wash these, then you also have to let them dry for a little bit. So I'm just going in here with my grape, and don't want to get big blobs. I'm just gonna brush that on. Now, because I don't want to take forever and make this video too longer, I'm not going to get it much darker, but in my original card, I did do a darker purple at the top. But this will be fine just for demonstration purposes. And then here's where I'm going to say where I can rub out what I think is the ink. And you can see that there's nothing coming off of that, even though it is purple there. It's not coming off on my paper. And I'm going to use that same color just to add a little bit of rich raspberry right in between these Gorgeous Grape and the Night of Navy. I keep saying midnight. I guess I could have used Midnight Muse, but I have Night of Navy. Okay, so there's going to be the rich raspberry kind of going down the center between those, kind of blending it again back and forth, round and round, however you want, as much as you want to make your sky. They're really pretty, and it was really easy and fun. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is bring in my paper trimmer. And because I used a full sheet of cardstock and I want to leave a border at the top, bottom, and the sides, I'm going to start by putting it in with the stripes going this way. And I'm just going to cut off 1/8 of an inch. So this is cut at 5.5. So, let me show you. So over here is where there's 5.5. And I'm just going to back it up a couple of those little notches, about 1/8 of an inch, and just trim off 1/8 from the top. And I'm going to turn around and trim off 1/8 from the bottom, and that's going to be 5 1/4. So I can just go here to 5 1/4 now. And that also gets rid of that edge that's kind of like extra dark from where I was coming onto the paper. Now I'm going to also cut off 1/8 here, and I'm just going to use my little measurements over here just to cut off a little bit. And then I'm going to start cutting my panels. So because this is the top and this is the bottom of my card, and I have my paper trimmer upside down, I'm turning my card around. If you hold your paper differently, you might want to cut yours differently. But the first panel to the left is going to be 1 7/8 inches. So I like to go up to the 2 and then just click it back 2 little notches. It's between the 2 longer lines. The longer lines are every 1/4 of an inch, and so we're going in between. So this is 1 7/8. I hope that makes sense. A lot of people don't like the 1/8. I'm just going to set that off. I'm going to do the same thing. going to start at 2 and then just click it back 2 notches to 1 7/8. And then this piece is going to be 4 inches. So I'm going to come over here to 4 and trim off the last. All right, now that's my trimming. Now again, I hold my paper trimmer upside down, so I cut my paper upside down. And if you do yours differently, then you'll just have to do it differently. Okay, so here's my card again, folded in half, folded back. And now I'm going to turn these around. I want to keep them in the same position because that way it's like a puzzle and it's going to be like fluid. So it'll be all even matched. So the big piece is going to go here. And you're just going to have 1/8 of an inch border all around. And then this one will be adhered in the center. Again, you'll have your 1/8 of an inch, and then your 1/8 of your even borders there. Isn't that pretty? And now for the decorating. So I'll just kind of see if I can bring this in and talk about both of them. So at the top of this card, I have these stars, and what I did for that was this little set of dies has this piece right here that cuts out a little cluster of stars. So what I did was, before I glued this down, of course, I ran this through the Big Shot or the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And then I ran it through again, moving this around to make a nice little cluster. And I just did that all across the tops of the page. So then once I had the holes in here, then I took a strip of cardstock and just put it behind the piece, and then the holes will show, the cardstock will peep through the holes, and you'll get that nice starry sky. Another detail that you could leave out, but I just think that adds a lot, and I was trying to use every die in this pack when I made my cards. Now the bats are stamped, the trees are die cut, the cat is stamped and cut out with the scissors, fussy cut. The moon is stamped and there is a die for the moon. And then the witch is stamped and fussy cut. The greeting is on a 1/2 inch of white cardstock, and then there's a black 3/4 inch behind it, and that's 1 7/8 inches wide. And then for the fence, the die cut is just one little section like this. So what I did was cut a bunch of them out. I think you need like 7 or so, and I used my liquid glue and glued the 2 posts on top of each other, just like that. And then I came up with these sections like this, and then I kept gluing them together to go across the bottom of the card like that. And then when I got here, I just cut it and kept on going. So that's how I did the fence. And of course you could use, you know, whatever stamp set or dies that you have, but I just think the technique for coloring that is super easy, super fun, and I hope you'll give it a try. Now let me show you another couple cards I made for Christmas using my sponges. So here on this little penguin, I just did a little sponge of the fresh freesia behind the snowflake, and it just adds a little pop of color there. And then similar was with the bear. It just was a little bit bigger because the bear is bigger. And then on this card, I used the sponges to add in this blue here towards the center of that card. So there's a lot of nice little techniques that you can do, and it's a nice way to lay on some color using the sponges. Now let me show you again. These were made with the Frightful Tags dies and the Frightfully Cute stamp set in the July to December 21 mini catalog from Stampin' Up. And let me show you some of the other cards that I made. So this is one that I just recently did a video on this. It's a side step card. Really easy, quite easy to make, surprisingly. And again, I use a lot of the die cuts just to create the little scene over here. So that's that. Here's an easy fun fold card using designer series paper. This is cute Halloween paper from the same July to December 2021 catalog. I also have a video on that. And I also made a Christmas card using that. This is a nice layout for almost any kind of paper, just using the different kind of paper and whatever you want to use here. Either an image or a greeting could go there. All right, here's a couple that use designer series paper and some of the stamps from the set. More. This one uses glimmer paper, adds a little sparkle. And then this one is a gift card. Inside here is where you would add your gift card. Another gift card holder. This one opens up like this. The gift card tucks down in here, and then when you go to send it or give it to the person, that little circle label keeps the top flap shut. Here's a real simple one, but it uses that glitter paper to cut out the spider web and the witch's hat. And these are actually some of the shimmer sequins from the holiday or a winter bundle, but they add some little sparkle to that. And then the paper has some flirty flamingo in it. So for this one, I put this Baddie for You, that's in the stamp set. And this little label here is in the stamp set. And I thought that could maybe be a little Halloween, or could be a Halloween card, but could also be for Valentine's Day. Baddie for You. And then here's one, the backs of the paper all have black and white and not necessarily Halloween. So here I made a kind of an elegant birthday card using the backs of that Halloween paper. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this quick video. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. And if you're interested in purchasing any of these products, I'd really appreciate it if you shop my online store. All right, thanks for stopping by. I hope you'll give this a try.